and welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am not Sam Allman.
That's right. You are David Bernard Houck, and I am Maddie Grace Webben.
And I'm Trish.
And today we will be talking about the sixth part of Persona 2 Innocent Sin.
Sixth part of the first part of Persona 2.
Yes, the sixth part of the first part of the second part of Persona.
That's right.
I'm glad we're making it very simple for everybody.
It's very reasonable, and the reason why Sam isn't here is because he's having a rough one, which happens to the best of us.
Yes. So, I am Sam, for now. So I guess that means I have to ask, how was everyone's week?
Well, I moved a couple days ago.
Yes, that finally happened.
Always fun.
How did that all go?
The actual moving part happened pretty well. I just had the professional movers first day, and then the next day, not the next day, but a couple days later, I went back and picked up the remaining stuff I needed to. I just today finally got it to where I don't have to be pushing around boxes in order to get around my own room. Like, it's unpacked and
already?
repacked.
Wow, I can't believe how quickly you got to that point.
Yeah, no, it's pretty great. Only downside is, no longer living with my sister and my girlfriend. Instead, now living with complete strangers is extremely lonely. And has been activating all of the bad brain juice.
Wait, what? Hold on. Maybe you explained this and I forgot already. What's the reason for this?
So basically the situation was, so my sister got an offer from a mutual friend of ours who who suggested having her live with her, and that worked out really well monetarily for my sister. Like, it was more feasible for her because money's tight for various reasons. Would also be kind of getting paid for it because she'd be working as a caretaker for that friend. So she went to do that. And then without her there, this particular girlfriend, the one I was living with, she has fibromyalgia. She has some severe disability issues that it was already a tough living situation. And so no longer having that extra person there, and then the promise of that my sister was going to be getting a car possibly soon, and so without that, and then so no future car access, it just wasn't a tenable situation with her. So she's moved a state over to live with a friend who is better able to accommodate her physical needs.
That's really tough.
It's very tough. It's one of those things where it was the best thing for her in a physical sense and a lot of physical needs. It's just now we're both really lonely.
Yeah, I get it. It really sucks how the material conditions of our society make it get in the way of even things like love and stuff like that. It sucks.
Yeah, good news. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say, not get in the way of love. I'm sure a relationship is fine, but it's it gets in the way of you doing the thing that you would normally want to do, like be living with your girlfriend instead of not.
Yeah. Good news, though. One of my other girlfriends, the one who is not listening to this particular episode live, I don't believe, but has listened to several of our episodes live, she lives in another country, and I finally set up, I got a passport now. I'm going to be flying over to go see her later this month.
Wonderful.
Probably near the end of the month.
What country is it?
Canada.
Awesome. I'm thinking, I probably won't anymore, but I was thinking of making a trip up to America's Hat soon myself. I probably won't because of all the stuff that happened where I was driving and then I failed out and the money was not as good. But I have to go to I have to take a trip to New Jersey in late July, and I was thinking, maybe I could go to Toronto before I go to New Jersey.
That's actually where this particular girlfriend lives. I think at 20 or 30 minutes outside of Toronto.
Everyone lives in Toronto. I don't know a single Canadian who doesn't live in Toronto. But it's the only city that they have. But anyway, though, yeah, I was thinking, ooh, because I got some friends up there, so it's like, ooh, I'll go to Toronto, spend a few days with them, and then I'm gonna go on my trip to New Jersey. But ticket prices are so bad right now. It's like whatever. But we'll see. How long are you gonna be there for?
I'm probably gonna. I mean, as much time as I'm able to take off of work, I'm aiming for a week, a little over a week, so that should be good. First time seeing each other in our life. Looking forward to that.
Aw, that's so cute. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to know a trick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think you can pick her up?
I don't. I would love to try. But...
Okay, because when I met my my girlfriend that I live with for the very first time. I flew to Arizona, which, if someone flies to Arizona to see you, it's love. But when I flew to Arizona wait, that's not true. Never mind. This is the second time we met. The first time was, he came to see me. Anyway, whatever. I flew to Arizona, and of course he was so excited, but he picked me up and spun me around like a goddamn, movie. And you know what? That's a good move. You should do it again. I should. Would recommend. I felt very special because I got picked up and spun around like in a goddamn movie at an airport gate. But also I'm strong enough where I could also have done it reciprocally. So yeah, just pro tip for all the romantics out there.
I'm not sure about reciprocally because I think that implies that we'd be at the same time, and if both of you lifted each other up at the same time,
then we'd be fine. It's like the forklifts.
Yes, I suppose so. I suppose it would work.
Yeah, you just keep going up, right? Lifting each other up.
But I don't know. That might be dangerous, especially at an airport.
That's true. You don't want to
plane might hit you.
There's kind of stuff up there. Or no, it'd be like in Dragon Quest when you use zoom inside and you fucking literally hit the ceiling. You can't use zoom. You're literally inside, idiot. Anyway, that's dope, Chris. So I'm glad there's some good news.
Yeah. I'm looking forward, trying to hold on to that. Trying to get used to this weird. I've never lived with people I don't know before.
It sucks.
Well, on one hand, you've been fortunate. On the other hand, it does suck ass, and I don't envy you at all.
Also,
I'm glad I'm no longer doing that.
This place doesn't have central AC or anything.
Ooh,
there's just one on the opposite end of there's a wall mounted one on the opposite end of the apartment from my room, and my roommates are not. Central California / Northern California. It's only mid 90s right now, but we're not running it. Instead, it's just we have a big fan going. It's
man, the temperature really goes up as you go inland, huh? It goes from perfect weather to fucking awful, just going 50 miles inland.
Yeah, no. I mean, last week, one of the last days before my girlfriend left, it was 105 outside.
Rip. Yeah, meanwhile, here it is. I don't even need to check. There's probably a perfect 78 or something. Bay Area life.
Bay Area is great to visit, but the gentrification has made it impossible to live in.
It ain't great. I'll be the first to admit it ain't great. Although, you know what? Well, sure, I'll say it. One of these days, we're gonna have a fucking Raising Cane's. Okay. We don't have one of those yet. Trish, you know about Raising Cane's?
No.
There aren't a lot of them in California. It's a wonderful restaurant. Think of it like Chick-fil-A, except they don't hate the gays, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
They don't make chicken sandwiches, but they just actually, I think you can get chicken sandwich, but it's not what you get. You know how Chick-fil-A, one thing that's so good about them is that they only have 2 things in the menu, so you already know what you're getting. You're not sitting there saying, "Oh, what do I get this time?" You're like, "Yeah, give me the fucking chicken sandwich."
Kind of like In-N-Out.
Yeah, so it's similar,
Small
but it's chicken tendies. That's it. You get chicken tendies. That's what you do. You can either get a medium amount or a whole lot of an amount. Those are the options you have at Cane's. It's really delicious. They cook the chicken real good, great breading, and a lovely sauce. And it's an institution for anywhere where there is one. And there are a couple in NorCal, but not in the Bay. There could be one around you for all I know, but there's not one in the Bay Area, except they are building one, and it's right. It's like a block away from my union hall. I see it every time we're going to my union, and they've been building it for ages. And every time I just feel like Eric Andre, like on the gates, just like, let me in. One of these days, it's going to be a functioning restaurant, and I will be able to stop by and get the chicken. But so far, I'm just yearning. I'm just looking at it like, God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so one good thing about the Bay Area.
Apparently, there's a couple Raising Cane's about 2 or 3 hours from me.
Yeah.
Worth it.
There's like 4 of them in the larger Sacramento area.
Yeah, they're all within Sac for some reason. Anyway, Bernard, what's up with you?
I'm doing great because they just released a trailer for Final Fantasy 16 today and announced that it's coming out summer 2023.
I am very happy for all of my Final Fantasy friends that they get this lovely announcement.
I feel like I should actually play Final Fantasy 14 since this is like the new game from the Final Fantasy 14 people.
And very clearly is taking a lot of notes from it. Yeah. It looks great. One of these days I'll play FF14. One of these days. Actually, if I don't end up going to like Toronto or whatever on that trip, I'll have multiple days at home to just do fucking nothing. Because I have a whole week of PTO. Maybe I'll just play like. Let's see. If it's 5 days, 5 times 24 is 120 hours FF14. Okay, I could get through like half of one expansion.
Yeah.
If I do nothing but play that game.
Sounds good. I also have taken some days off work because I was feeling really bad and really wanted to take some days off work. So I've been not working. I beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it was great. And I've started Final Fantasy 9. I'm like halfway through Disc 2, I think. And it's going great.
I haven't reached Disc 2 on that one yet, but I was really loving it. I really need to dig back into it.
That game really takes off because it really advances the series in a lot of ways. It's really funny because it was billed as like a throwback. Like, look, we're going back to fantasy. It's got airships and magic crystals.
It's so not a throwback.
Not at all. Like in the most basic, like surface level way it is, but design wise, it is another extremely progressive leap forward for the series after 8. Like,
I would agree. I would specifically say, as someone who really loves the earlier Final Fantasy games, I think it specifically feels like a throwback to 5. The heavy character focus, more than even a story focus, and specifically a kind of comedic but with depth kind of characters for the cast, is a very 5 kind of thing, and 9 does that same thing really well.
You're totally right about that. It's got this it doesn't have the tone that you get from like 4 or 6.
And the main protagonist is goofy as hell.
Yeah, he's just like a fun little guy. But design-wise, though, it's just like, it's, Bernard, are you still in the part of the game where it's just completely linearly rocketing you from one thing to the next?
I think I've just gotten past that. Pretty much all of Disc 1, yeah, you're just going from one thing to the next. You do get to go on the overworld a few times, but it is a formality.
Yeah, that's why I always say that it's funny that FF10 decided to get rid of the overworld, and I'm like, well, yeah, it was vestigial in FF9 anyway. Like,
yeah.
That's what I like about the game. It's very, very cool how forward-thinking it is design-wise.
And it is just so high budget and high tech. There are so many pre-rendered backgrounds. Like, it's really on a different level from the stuff you get in like Final Fantasy VII, because like I remember I just had my mind blown in this early village that you go to. You go into a room at an inn, and there's the room at the end, like wide shot that of course you have, but then it also has another shot of the same room at like a different angle, just for dramatic purposes purely. And I'm like, I can't believe they did that. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're like, I feel like so much of their budget just went into having pre-rendered backgrounds to just give the location so much a fucking rich sense of depth and place.
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous. Also, Freya is the best, and I love her.
I love Freya.
I think that you mean Steiner.
I love
I'm sorry, but
Steiner.
Steiner's not a red mage, and red mage is the best Final Fantasy class that's ever been invented. It's the most stylish. And then they took red mage and made a cute rat girl who is a red mage. That's literally the best thing they could have done.
That's a cute point, but on the other hand, Steiner's a giant himbo. So
You're okay, that's fair.
I love Steiner.
And of course, everyone's favorite Vivi has depression. So another
Vivi does have depression.
Vivi is ultimate whoopee.
I love him. Such good characters. Except Zane. I hate him. He's terrible. He's a terrible child.
No, he's fine. I do love how impeccably animated his tail is.
Yes.
Anyway, my life. My last week's been an absolute fucking roller coaster. But okay, normally people say that, I mean ups and downs. It's been great. It's been fantastic. I had a week-long vacation, with paid PTO. One of the first times I've ever done that in my entire life. I mean, sorry, that's not true. One of the first times I've done that in many, many years. And it was a staycation, but also did have a friend who visited. And also I did a lot of stuff that I don't normally do. There's a lot of stuff around the Bay that is like great Bay Area stuff I've just never done. It's just like, I've been living here 4 years and I've never done X, Y, Z, right? I don't think I want to get too much into it, but one of the best weeks of my entire life.
That's so good.
Yeah. The reason I want to get into it is because there also was some fun personal drama is the bad word because it makes it sound like a negative thing. Anyway, it's ongoing. So if I told you the story, you would end with a cliffhanger, and that wouldn't be satisfying. So, hopefully next week I can give an update.
I really miss working a job where I got PTO.
Right? It's nice.
It's so nice.
You should be a Teamster.
Maybe I should be a Teamster.
Maybe you should be a Teamster. You like putting boxes in a truck? Do you think you might like putting boxes in a truck? I'm sure there's other jobs that a Teamster can do, but that's what I do. But yeah, 3 weeks PTO as a 1 year employee, and it only goes up from there. So pretty exciting. Certainly more than I ever got in a white collar job. Anywho, I'll just leave it at that. It was an amazing week for a variety of reasons. Oh, okay. I will say one thing. I went to this weird place, and I'm going to have to be a little cagey here because it's a secret. A person in my life has a secret. And the secret is that this person has a secret piano bar that they like to go to. Now, it's a secret piano bar, not because it's like, I don't know, it's not like it's like a hole in the wall that isn't like a licensed business or anything, but it's just a little bit of a place that a lot of people know about. It's also quite small. And I think that this person keeps their Second Life a secret because they think maybe if they tell people about it, then it'll be too crowded and it won't be fun anymore, something like that. I don't know. But I found out this person has a secret Second Life, like a secret double life where they go to this place like 3 times a fucking week.
I've heard of businesses like that. They purposely, for instance, they really just don't advertise because they're going for a very quiet atmosphere.
I don't know if that's true of his business, but it's at least true of my friend. And it's just, here's the thing. I know this person. This person I've known for years. We all love this guy. But for some reason, he just never told anyone about this like thing that he does like literally multiple times a week as like his as like a major hobby. So they go to this karaoke place, and it's like but it's like, it's very small and intimate, and it's not like the normal karaoke crowd, aka just like random bar goers who sing. It's people who take karaoke very seriously. And well, long story short, this person gave one of the best musical performances I've ever seen in my life, and that's I'm including like professional things that I pay money for. My man sung Cabaret from Cabaret, and then a song from Sondheim's Follies, the one that's like, "Do you love me or you're just being kind?" Bernard, you know that one. You're a gay.
No, I don't know that one off the top of my head. I've only seen Follies once, and I've not listened to it otherwise.
Well, it was a beautiful song. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, dude, I have known you for years and had no idea that you had this in you. And it wasn't just the voice; it was like the performance. Like he was hamming it up. Like, I don't know if my man's a good actor or not. Maybe he's a terrible actor. But my man, I'm like, you could sing in musicals. Like, this is so fucking good. I really wanted to participate, though I'm not on that guy's level, but I do have a very nice voice. But given the clientele and the mood, I couldn't think of a song that I felt would be appropriate, and also a song that I also like knew and felt comfortable singing. So I'm gonna go back, and I'll come prepared. Because if I thought about it more, I could have thought of something, But I'm not gonna go out there and sing like Paranoid Android by Radiohead, which is one of my go-tos for normal karaoke, because that would not be the vibe here. It fucking ruled. So just like that was one night of my holiday. Imagine stuff like that every single night, and you've got my vacation.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it fucking. Also, other thing, I told people I was going on a quote soft vacation, aka like, oh yeah, I'm going on vacation, but like I'm not going anywhere, and also like if you really need me, just let me know, because a lot of stuff's going on. I think I mentioned I'm running running to be the vice chair of my DSA chapter, and also launching a major new project that is the first time I've ever launched a major project and been in charge before. So it's like that our convention's in like 2 weeks. So it's like this is the time to be organizing people, calling them, whipping them, getting them excited about stuff, making sure they're going to the meeting, getting them to be excited about your project, getting them to vote for you, or asking them to convince you to vote for them, right? Or learning what other people are doing and figuring out what you want to do, having all those conversations leading up to the yearly convention. So it's a very busy time. So I'm like, okay, well, if you need me, I'll be available. Here's my number. Here's my text. Let me know. So that was a lie. Turns out I did not respond to a single email or phone call or message the entire week. Not on purpose. I was too busy and too relaxed. So I felt a little bad, but I needed it. So I come back and I'm like, well, time to catch up on, oh God, so many messages and so many emails and people wondering where the hell I am. I did tell them I was going on vacation, but it was fucking awesome. Highly recommend if you can swing a vacation, fucking take one. If you haven't taken one in a really long time, take one. If you're thinking, I don't have PTO, but I do have sick days, fucking call in sick for a week if you think it's responsible to do so. You know what I mean? Like, it is a thing that a lot of people don't get to have in our modern society, and I feel very privileged that I was able to. So, everyone take care of yourself out there and make good decisions, such as doing karaoke, because it's always a good decision. Cool. Yeah, so that was my week. I'm feeling great and ready to talk about Persona.
Yeah, we should do that.
Let's talk about Persona. So when we last left our heroes, they just witnessed Nazis descend upon their hometown.
That's right. You hate to see that.
It's not great.
I don't like it when that happens.
No. So as the gang heads through the city, they find out Joker ordered the masked circle to protect the people from the soldiers. But the masked circle is made up of regular people, so they don't stand a chance. The gang hurries to Mount Katatsumuri, which luckily the Nazis are mainly focused on Mount Katatsumuri. So it, like, as you go through the main city, you're not, like, getting in random battles and stuff, so. But anyway, at the base of the mountain, they have to choose between busting through the last battalion soldiers guarding the path or sneaking around.
Hell yeah, I love Final Fantasy VII.
I chose to sneak around, which led to a really annoying forest maze dungeon, so I don't recommend sneaking around. What did y'all do?
I did the forest maze.
I busted in, and it wasn't very interesting, but it definitely was not annoying. So it was
the right choice.
You fight a bunch of people. So this is not like FF7, where we're presented the option between busting in and taking the sneaky way. You should take the sneaky way because it leads to one of the funniest sequences ever put into a video game. Whereas busting in is rather dull. In this case, you should definitely bust in because it's not particularly exciting, but it is totally reasonable and not a pain in the ass. Haha. Owned.
I need to play Final Fantasy VII one
And
of
for
these
the
days.
for the record, I was thinking I should do the sneaky route because it's probably going to lead to some funny shenanigans, but I didn't because I knew y'all were going to. So.
Mm-hmm. So, after getting a ways up the mountain, the gang reaches a temple and saves the monks there from the last battalion soldiers. Yukino knows the head monk and asks him where Shunsuke is. The head monk says that Shunsuke went to the summit to photograph everything that's happening there. Yukino is horrified at the danger Shunsuke has put himself in. The head monk says Shunsuke left something for her, a camera passed down from his father, which he wanted to give to her the day she truly decided to be a photographer or some shit. It's a bit of a weird scene. But Yukino accepts the camera. Yeah. And he gives like a little speech about how a man follows his dreams and you can't stop someone like him from following his dream. And I guess his dream is to photograph what's happening right now.
There are ways to introduce a character in the same scene you kill them for dramatic effect and actually have the emotions land. Like, I've seen things do that before.
Yep.
This was not how you do that.
It's really weird that, as far as I know, and between us, we've done a lot of talking to optional dialogue, talking to our party members optionally. As far as I know, Shunsuke was not mentioned until the end of last episode.
I was really confused.
Yeah, no, you're pretty sure you're right, Bernard.
Yeah.
If we're all wrong about this, Sam can yell at us next week, but I'm pretty sure you're right about
that. Maybe there's some dialogue that we all missed somewhere where Yukino mentioned Shunsuke, but yeah, no. Anyway, the sky is suddenly filled with shooting stars. The gang takes this as a bad omen and hurries to the summit. This isn't really followed up on yet, but there is like an animated cutscene for it and everything. I guess it's a bad omen and bad things do end up happening, so... But anyway, at the summit, they find the last battalion owning some masked circle members outside the Caracal, which is a weird ancient building. Yukino says it wasn't there the last time she was here. After taking out the masked circle members, the soldiers march inside. 3 mechs remain outside and sense the gang's personas. They attack. After taking out the mechs, the gang finds Shunsuke fatally injured. He tells Yukino to capture her star and dies in her arms. Maya says they don't have much time, but Yukino says she's not leaving him. She can't fight anymore. Here you have a very important choice. You can say, you deny his last request, or the 4 of us will go on. What did y'all do?
I'm trying to remember. I didn't take a note about it. I think I said you deny his last request.
Well, they lead to very different things, which I'll explain. So,
the one I did is the one that gives the.
Yeah, I said the 4 of us will go on.
Okay, so yeah, I also chose the 4 of us will go on. I chose to let her grieve. It was like, I'll be nice and let her grieve, but this has turned out to be very much the wrong choice.
Yep.
The long play I used to take notes did the other correct option, so that's what I'll cover, and we can discuss the ramifications of doing the incorrect thing later.
Yeah.
So Totino's, well... In one timeline, Totino says, you deny his last request. Lisa says he's being too hard on her, but Maya convinces Yukino that she must fight for her dream to come true. Yukino stands and says, let's go. There's still something I need to do. I haven't kept my promise to save Anna yet. Philemon's butterfly appears and says that Shunsuke's heart and soul will live on in Yukino as a new persona. The gang heads into the Caracal. Eventually, they find Anna facing some last battalion mechs. They're about to kill her, but the gang rushes in and fights them off. After the battle, Anna asks Yukino why she cares about her. Yukino says, Because you remind me of how I was once. I had no idea what I wanted or why I should go on living. I wished everything would disappear. I was being a baby. You can't figure stuff like that out when you want it too bad. You have to calm down and take your time. But then Yukino's voice from off screen says that's a bunch of shit. Shadow Yukino appears and tells Yukino she never had the eye to be a photographer or the brains to be a teacher like she wanted. She can't fulfill her dreams. Shadow Yukino says, "So tell the girl here that it's easier to take it out on everyone like you used to, that it's easier to sleep around." And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, what?
Yukino says, "Sure, I had a nasty side lurking in me. That's why I tried to lean on Shinsuke-san. But Anna, even if you fall or lose yourself, having to stand up again and keep going is what it means to be human. Shunsuke-san, all my friends taught me that. I can accept myself for what I am now. If I couldn't, I'd never be able to follow my dream." Shadow Yukino prepares to attack. Yukino tells the gang to go after June while she takes care of this. The gang heads off, and Anna stands up to fight alongside Yukino. So the gang proceeds without her. Eventually, they see the ghostly form of young June before them. They see into June's distorted memories of the day Maya told them she had to leave. Totinos leads Lisa and Aikichi in locking Maya in the shrine while June protests. The kids say they're going to kill Big Sis so she can't go away. Totinos summons his persona and sets the shrine on fire. Back in the ruins, Ghost June cries and says he couldn't save Big Sis. The gang tells him that's not what happened, that Totinos tried to save her. Maya tells him she's alive, he doesn't have to go through this anymore. He says that's a lie, Totinos killed Big Sis. He disappears, and the gang continues. Further into the ruins, they encounter Ghost June again. This time they see a vision of young Maya, June, and Totinos in a park. They talk for a bit, and Maya says, "June-kun and Totinos-kun, your personalities are different, but maybe that's why you two draw each other together like shadows." Young Maya and Totinos disappear. June turns to the party and says, "Big Sis taught us to pursue our dreams. We both loved Big Sis. We promised to protect our mama whatever happened, and you broke that promise and killed her." That's my little kid voice.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought a little kid had come into the recording.
The vision ends. Maya comments that June must want Totinos' help most of all since they were so close. They continue through the ruins. Maya senses June is close and says, "It's June-kun, but there's someone else, too. The same persona? No, it's like something is staring at me in an endless pit of darkness. Don't, June-kun. These powers shouldn't be used." The gang enters a large chamber and sees June standing on a platform, along with a masked circle member and shadow versions of Totinos, Lisa, and Aikichi. In front of him is a group of last Battalion mechs, led by the Führer himself. Joker says, "It seems all the players have taken the stage. The three factions here are qualified to raise the Bulba and have their desires granted." Now I have Führer lines, and I was thinking maybe I could do a terrible German accent, but I can't. I tried, I can't. So I'm just gonna read his lines.
If only any of us had seen The Great Dictator, we could just do what they do in that.
That is a good one. I mean,
well, I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing they do some kind of goofy voice for Hitler.
I have seen it. I don't remember what voice Mr. Chaplin used for, I believe his name is Hinkle or Hinkler.
Adenoid Hinkle, yes.
Hinkle, yes. There's not a lot of dialogue in that movie anyway.
Yeah,
It's mostly silent.
Yeah, it was one of Chaplin's things where he was very begrudgingly going into the talkie era. But anyway, Führer says, "Exactly. My Order of the Holy Lance, symbolizing the Zodiac, has those qualifications as well. Only those born under the holy constellation of the Grand Cross can control the Five Skulls." Joker asks, And what would a ghost from the past, resurrected by rumors, wish for? Führer says, the same as you, marionette of the Wheel of Fortune. Destruction and progress. These contradictory impulses are constantly at war within man. It was your fears and expectations of them which summoned me, and now that I am here, I must live up to them, Nine. Joker says that's his own duty. The Shadow Gang and the mechs face off. Maya yells, "You're wrong, Jun-kun. Dreams aren't meant to be given. They only have meaning when you achieve them under your own power. If man wants to evolve, then... ... Joker says, foolish girl, do you believe that all humans have such a sugar-coated view of the world? Führer says, indeed, the rampant illusion of freedom causes man to worry over petty matters. The masses will always desire a leader who decides everything for them. Anxiety over the future only causes them pain. Joker says, that is why I, Joker, will lead mankind into a new era. Humanity will be freed from the suffocating chains of raison d'etre. Behold the wings of death and rebirth. Zabalba. Maya says, no, that's not true. Then why were we born? And I'm like, fair question. Not sure what its relevance is, but a good question nonetheless.
Oh, this scene is... yeah.
Some scenes in this game, one thing doesn't seem to logically follow another.
Yeah.
That's not a bad way to put it, yeah.
It feels like characters are just saying things and there's no conversation actually going on. Like, everyone's just saying their own thing.
Yeah, everyone's going through their own stuff.
It's like Twitter.
Yeah.
It's like... I mean, of course it's like Twitter. They're Nazis.
That too.
Yes. Behind Joker, rings holding 4 skulls on the edges and one in the center turn. Outside, enormous beams of light erupt from the earth at 4 points on the edges of Sumeru City. Buildings crumble as the starship Zabalba rises from below the earth, lifting Sumeru City on top of it. This cutscene kicks ass.
Yep. No notes.
Back in the underground chamber, everyone talks like they could see what just happened. Joker says, look, what Father said was true. The Masked Circle member who's been there all along says, it can't be. It was true? The UI tells us that this is Queen Aquarius, the last member of the Masked Four, in possession of the Wind Skull. It seems she was mainly gathering ideal energy from adults. Joker suddenly seems distraught. He says, no, what I wanted wasn't this horrible thing. Führer orders the mechs to seize the skull. A mech jumps on the platform and thrusts its spear at Joker, but Queen Aquarius pushes him out of the way and gets stabbed. And as far as I know, she dies here, so exiting the story as quickly as she entered.
Goodbye.
Miss not appearing in this game.
Yes. I sort of feel like they made it the Masked Four and then realized they only had 3 in the story, so... But maybe she didn't die and she'll come back next week. We don't know.
Yeah,
maybe she'll show up next game.
Yep, maybe there'll be some bullshit.
The mech grabs the skull as Joker tries to stop it with his persona. Führer says, since that's risen, there's no more use for this place. This place will collapse soon. If you don't hurry and get on with it, you'll be another casualty of the world's destruction. He starts floating, as Führers do. Then he and the mechs fly up through the ceiling. Joker tells the shadows to take the remaining skulls and go after Führer. Joker stumbles towards the edge of the platform and says, it was Totino's who killed Big Sis, who killed our mama. Right, Papa? Aikiti tells him to come to his senses. Joker wonders who he is. An unknown voice says, don't forget, you are Joker. Kill, kill, kill. Joker is like, that's right, I'm the motherfucking Joker. He attacks. After the fight, Yukino and Anna show up. Yukino's like, what the fuck is going on? Joker stands up and says he won't accept this. The unknown voice says, "You want power? Then wish for it. Hate. Immolate yourself in the flames of abhorrence." Joker says he wants power enough to yield to no one. His persona appears and says, "Your wish has been heard. The sacrifice on offer is yourself. Since you are praised as an angel, I grant you heavenly strength." A freaky angel statue thing grows out of Joker's back and attacks. What the fuck?
Yep.
After the fight, June is collapsed on the ground. Joker no more. He wakes up and asks if all this time he was having a nightmare. The gang hugs and cries for a while. June is distraught over the very bad things he's done, but the gang is happy he's back to normal. But then the gang senses something. Maya says her persona is scared. A man with a bad haircut appears on the platform. He says, "Shame on you. The head of the masked circle dares to allow his enemies to pity him. Come, June, claim your revenge and open the way to Idelion." June says, "Father, we need to stop this. I just wanted to be like Big Sis and lead everyone to their dreams." June's father says, "And that's why I gave you that power and the In Lakesh. Your dream has come true, so why resist me? It's your turn now to grant my dream. As your father, I will eliminate anyone who tries to deceive you. Now come." June says, "I won't let anyone hurt Big Maya. Not even you, Father." I should mention at this point that Aikichi and also other characters have been referring to Maya as Big Maya ever since we found out their history and stuff. And I'm like, is this some weird combination of Big Sis and Maya? We're just calling her Big Maya now?
Yeah. This is probably one of those makes more sense than the Japanese things. I mean, I get what it is. I just mean it probably means is more natural, right?
Yes.
But it also, remember, these are teens, okay? So they could just be a joke. Like, hey, Big Maya. You know what I mean? Like, she's cool. We all love Big Maya.
You're pointing this out now, and I'm surprised because I'm like looking back in my brain, and I'm like, I think my eyes just glazed over every time they called her that, and it just didn't go in my brain.
Oh, I was getting a kick out of it the entire time. Like, I'm trying to think of what an analogous, more natural English language thing, like where you're calling someone like something like that. Like if you like always calling someone like
boss.
Boss wouldn't be too far off. Or like, but I'm trying to think if I can think of a word you put in front of someone's name. That's not really a thing we do so much in English, but it could be. King, actually, you could see. Yeah, I could see calling someone like King Bernard if we were like in some kind of group of people who had different personalities than me and you actually do, and you were like super goated with the sauce or something.
Mm-hmm. June's father, June has just said he won't help his father, and June's father says, "Ha, very well, June. You have been removed from the wheel of fortune." June's persona gets sucked out of his body. His father continues, "I will lead the masked circle in your stead. Farewell, my son. You will become part of the foundation for the new world." June's father disappears. The gang, including June and Anna, are transported to Philemon's gazebo again. Philemon says, "The past, present, and future of the rings of time have begun to spin. Zabalba has shown itself. To escape the eternal suffering that comes with understanding one's existence, man has summoned from the abyss that which should not exist. What awaits you from here on will be a crueler fate than even that which the crawling chaos has woven." Maya's like, "We don't know what the crawling chaos is. There is still a ton we don't know." Philemon says, "Eventually, the time will be right for you to learn everything. If anyone can stop him, the darkness from thriving, it's you. The power amassed by the feelings which have been fostered over 10 years. Show him the potential that lies within you. Yukino asks Philemon to give her persona summoning ability to June. Maya asks what she'll do without a persona. Yukino says, I don't need personas anymore. I can keep my head high and walk on my own now. It's time I pass these feelings on to someone else. Philemon passes Yukino's ability to June. He thanks her. Philemon also upgrades everyone else's personas again, because why not?
Hell yeah.
The gang appears at a shrine. Akari and some kids run up and ask what the fuck is going on. A kid who resembles June says his parents disappeared. He says, when I think hard, I know I had a mama and papa, but now when I go home, I'll be all alone. Papa and mama were always fighting, but they were still my parents. Big sis, big bro, go beat the bad guys and bring back my papa and mama. Maya says they'll thrash the bad guys and save the kids' parents. She then asks the kids what they want to be when they grow up. She tells them that Totino's and June will teach them a chant that will make their dreams come true. So they teach the kids the Persona game? And the kids and Akari do the ritual and then just leave?
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't get
know,
it.
Man.
Listen, clearly, you just need to give all children magic powers. That's just going to work out great.
This probably won't have any negative consequences. Honestly, I'm torn as to whether or not it will actually not have any negative consequences. Obviously, in real life, it would, and this would be a bad idea. But it's like, okay, is the dramatic arc of this game, or maybe two games, going to have this having consequences, or is it just going to be like, nope, this is fine, this is a normal thing to do?
Maybe the idea is the city is in a bad spot right now, and they want the kids to be able to protect themselves with personas. I don't know. That's the best I could come up with. So after Akari and the kids just leave after doing the ritual, June says, if the ideal energy stored in the 5 skulls is released, the people I turned into Shadowmen may be returned to normal. The skulls are the key to the power source for activating Zabalba. If we take back all the skulls and bring down Zabalba before the Grand Cross happens, we can prevent further tragedy. By now, they'll have placed the skulls of Earth, Water, Wind, and Fire in their respective shrines to control them there. Our goal should be to first take back these 4 skulls, and then take over Zabalba. My father should be chasing the Heaven Skull and the Fuhrer to the center of Zabalba. Yukino says she's going to part ways with them and go fight Nazis in the city. They're like, but you don't have a persona. And she's like, yeah, I'll be fine. And Anna's like, I'll protect her with my persona. And I'm like, okay. Yukino tells the gang to not let Maya drive them anywhere and leaves with Anna. And after that very confusing scene, we exit to the world map and save.
So please tell me, so what you just described is what I saw. What did you two see for what you said to Yukino?
Okay, so...
yeah, here we go. Let's fucking talk about it. Which, to be clear, I didn't realize I made an important decision. I thought it just went like that.
Yeah, so I didn't take notes for this because I also didn't realize I'd made a big decision. I sort of, as things happened, eventually was like, oh, I probably made the wrong decision. But Maddie Grace, feel free to jump in to fill in any gaps. But...
Yeah, I was like, wait, no, I didn't either. Wait, fuck. I also played this quite a bit ago, but I will attempt to help you out if you forget anything.
So basically, you leave Yukino there. You go through the first part of the dungeon without her. Then when you get to the place where Anna was fighting the mechs, you just see Shadow, Yukino, and Anna there. And Shadow Yukino, has Anna held hostage and is saying some creepy shit. I forget what. But eventually, before the gang can stop her, she jumps off the bridge with Anna in tow. And the gang has... and during this, Shadow Yukino has been insisting she's the real Yukino. But they're like, no, you're totally Shadow Yukino. But then after she jumps off, they're like, what if that was Yukino? and they're really confused and upset.
Also, don't forget, there's a boss battle there. It's one of those battles where you fight it and it doesn't change any. Like the plot just keeps going. No, sorry, no, we fought Lady Scorpio and Shadow Yukino. Yeah, she's holding her, and we're like, we're gonna save Anna and stop you, and then we fight her. But then, that's why she jumps off, right? Because it's like, oh shit, I've lost the battles. I'm gonna jump off the fucking bridge.
Okay, so there's something I had read a little bit, like I'd read somewhere, and I was really confused because I got through the section and didn't see it, and now I'm like, oh, it was in this route. So apparently when you said, like, oh, she says a bunch of creepy things, apparently at one point, I think before she jumps off with Anna, Shadow Yukino kisses her?
Oh, yeah.
And so people thought that, like,
in fact happen. I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah.
This scene, a lot of stuff happens in this scene. But most of it is like, this is Persona 2, right? So it's mostly stuff about like dreams and Shadow Yukino is saying she's the real Yukino, but like you're clearly saying creepy shit about how like you should just give up and everything's hopeless and. It's like stuff that evil people say, right? Like that evil people say. So it's like very clear, and that happens in there.
Yeah, my understanding of the whole shadow thing was like the shadow version. It's like they are built out of parts of the actual person's personality. It's just repressed desires and like basically shittier parts of you. So basically, what I'd read somewhere was like people are like, okay, so then is Yukino bi?
That's
a good point. I mean, if it's Shadow Yukino...
Or is Yukino a closeted lesbian and really she does care about Shunsuke a lot, but
Excellent question. But yeah, no, there's definitely something to the I mean, hell, just the connection she's had with Anna this entire game, I've been Yukino just kind of radiated gay energy the entire time, and I'm like, okay, cool. There's evidence for that.
Okay, I just realized actually because the stuff that she says is I actually did get one screenshot of this because I thought maybe it was going to matter, but it turned out it doesn't. She's basically saying that like her dream got destroyed. She's like, hey, doesn't it suck when your dream gets destroyed? Might as well just give up, basically. Because remember, it's like it already happened. I just realized that the reason I'm bringing this up because I wasn't going to say it before is that if given your read, a closeted lesbian who feels like her love can't exist in this world would feel like her dream had been destroyed and that she just wanted to give it all up.
That's a very good point.
Because this game is all about desire and the achieving them or not achieving them, but also, I feel like this game is more about figuring out what your desires are and teasing out the nature of how they motivate a person more than whether you achieve it or not.
But also I think there is stuff there about how you achieve it.
Right. I think it's more of the thing I was saying, but this is more what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like this is most of it. I mean, the game is about teenagers once again, so it's not about people who are washed up who have lost their dreams. It's about people who don't know what their dreams are or what it means to have a dream or whether that's even a real thing, whether you should follow your dreams or ignore your dreams. And that's kind of what the game's generally about. But now it's like, possibly, there is a dream that one is not pursuing because of its impossibility or something like that.
I'm really sad I chose the thing I did because even though it did get me Yukino's better persona, I didn't get this cool plot shit with her fucking shadow.
Yeah. And again, I definitely just saw it as like, oh, the shadow's being weird and creepy because, even getting away from the whole like gay coded villain thing, even getting away from that trope, it's just like, like kissing somebody very unexpectedly is like a very easy move to pull if you're like trying to weird people out, right? If you're evil and you want people to be weirded out by you, being weirdly sexual it's just a fucking low hanging fruit there. So that's how I was reading it. But given that
I can definitely see reading it that way, but I feel like there's enough subtext to Yukino's character. I think
that's very, very reasonable to say now that it's been brought up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm totally missing that.
So Shadow Yukino pulls Anna off the bridge and presumably they both die, and later, when you're in Philemon's gazebo, the gang's like, I forget exactly how it plays out, but the gang's like, what's up with Yukino? And he's like, oh, her soul has returned to the collective unconscious. And it's not clear if she died or became a shadow man or what.
Yep.
But something fucked up happened to Yukino, and she's gone now.
Yep.
What the actual fuck?
Yeah, no, again, that's such a dramatic shift that I figured that happened no matter what. Which is why when you said there's an important choice here, I was like, what? What important choice?
Do we want to move on to memorable moments so we can talk more about this?
Sure.
Hearing this about this other route has maybe slightly improved, but not really, like slightly improved my opinions. But after loving this segment last week so much, I just did not even the fact I was allowed to kill as many Nazis as I wanted did not make up for just how lackluster this whole area felt. Just the fact that like every other party member has gotten, I guess except for Totino's, has gotten a story section that was devoted to their character that did something with their character. They got to had some kind of character weight behind it. And it's like Yukino, who to me is one of the most fascinating, if not the most fascinating of the party members. It's like, what's her area? Oh, so it turns out she has a boyfriend she hasn't mentioned and he dies and she's sad about it.
Yeah, it's not great.
And how is that resolved? Oh, well, she's going to leave the party so that the now redeemed bad guy can join the cast. And let's offset that fucking gender balance. And yeah, we're just going to put June in the cast now. Yukini's going to go fuck off now. And apparently, if you don't do what I did, she mysteriously disappears / dies / loses her soul or some shit. And it just feels like really disrespectful to like the most interesting main character.
Yeah, also just on a less literary standpoint, just the most, I would say, one of the most enjoyable and charming and likable main characters. Just
absolutely.
Like, well, okay. And again, like, maybe she'll come back in some kind of cool Gandalf thing. But I do agree that in general, it's like, this whole segment was, you see this often in games. Sometimes when this, okay, to paraphrase a tweet that someone made a while back about novels, but this time about video games. Man, they've been making video games for about half a century now. It's fucked up that no one's figured out how to structure one. But like what I mean though is that video games often are a little bit unusual in terms of structure and pacing and stuff. So I don't know what act we're in. It seems like we're in the third act. Hitler is there now, right?
That should be a side of the third act.
Yeah, things are escalating. Not that I necessarily try to react structure in general, but what the point is, we're towards the end, right? We're getting there. Things are getting dramatic, and a lot of the time in games, when you start to get to that point, a lot of the time, a lot of the important character stuff starts to get subsumed beneath like the capital P plot, right? And a really good game can square that circle and make everything a cohesive whole where it's like not separate concepts. I actually don't think the Persona games are great at this. They never have. The later games are arguably worse because of the games because of their very modular, complex structural nature, where each character is like has their own subplot that is done frankly optionally, because like with the what do you call it, the social links and stuff, and also like the Persona like 4 especially, like the piece by piece for each dungeon is just like this character's arc or whatever. it means that your characters are kind of separate from the story. The story isn't like integrated thematically with the character's own journey. It's like someone first thought of generically what happens in the story, and the party members go do shit. And then later they thought, okay, well, now let's think of some interesting party members to put in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
At any rate, yeah, basically, you get what I was saying. I was saying that, the characters are just kind of also there. And with JRPGs, that's often worse because JRPGs want to have a lot of characters for mechanical reasons. So, hey, we want a guy who's a black mage. Okay, we'll just write one into the story somehow. So, anyway, because of that, you often see this problem in the third act, and I definitely think that's what's going on here. At least it felt that way to me. It's like, oh, the bad guy's here, big plot events are happening. Oh, right, I guess we need to give Yukino an arc. We forgot to do that. It's her turn. Fucking whatever.
Yeah,
yes,
it feels like an afterthought. Oh, go ahead.
I believe that they really wanted June to join the party and for the party to end up being the 5 friends from the past, but they didn't have a good way to get rid of Yukino. So they just got rid of her.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
They did her like they did Hoffa.
Yes.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
We're not sure exactly what happened to her. Nailed it.
To me, it's just like, I have seen that kind of thing done well before. I'm not, obviously for spoiler reasons, I'm not going to say which game it is, but there is a JRPG I've played where the last act of the game, the villain joins. But that game, that was A, entirely optional, and B, the character had been well developed enough just in other ways by getting to see his backstory and getting to see how he, why he had done the stuff he did. Where with June, we don't really know June super well. We knew what he was like as a kid, and we've heard him ramble a little bit before fighting him, but he's not a very well-developed character, and losing Yukino to get him feels like a major step down.
Structurally, we all saw this coming. I think
I did, absolutely.
Maybe me, maybe you, at least one or two of us, like the first week were like, this villain seems a bit weirdly sympathetic, like he's got some hurt and pain inside. I wonder if they're going to do the thing where he joins the party to start the third act because the real villain appears. We all said that. And again, it's probably like they thought of that idea, and then the structural aspect of it, the formal concept was there, and they forgot to back up that formal concept with dramatic storytelling, right? With by effectively selling it. That's the thing about games. Games are formal. They are architectural constructions in addition to being narratives, and doing both is hard. And it's pretty clear when someone's focusing on one rather than the other.
Yeah. Also, but the thing you said about that common issue of JRPGs about the size of the cast and how that can quickly lead to this sort of problem. I mean, in this case, I didn't think that was going to be an issue because the cast is fairly focused. We have 5 party members, and that's for a JRPG, that's a very tight main cast.
It's very small.
To the point where we don't even have it doesn't let us it's like, oh, we can't. It's like, oh, you can only have 3 of them out at a time.
Yeah, which is a major thing. Like, when you're controlling how a character can have out at once, which for the record is a great thing. Back when me and Bernard talked about making JRPG, that was like one of our main things. Is like no player can't pick their party because it's way better storytelling when the writer knows who's there at any given time. FF4 does this phenomenally. Right? But that also does mean FF4 actually just had this problem as well, for the record. If you really look at it, it's pretty clear that sometimes in FF4 plot events are just there because they wanted to get rid of one party member and put in a different one.
You mean the constant death fake-outs?
Yeah, and they probably did that because the game designers wanted the game to have more mechanical variety by letting you play as different characters. So again, you're seeing the formal requirements of a video game, the architectural requirements, pushing up against how do we play this narratively so that we can get the fucking Paladin pour him into the party now, right? It's tough. It's a tough dance to pull off. And here they do not pull it off. Also, you mentioned you could think of a game where they do that trope. I can think of Off Top of the Dome 2, one of which is the one that you're very obviously thinking of. And the other one of which is shockingly... the other one of which is shocking... Well, we've played it on this podcast. The other one of which is shockingly a Dragon Quest game. I won't say any more than that, but even a Dragon Quest game pulls this at one point, and it's actually very effective. And the reason it's effective is because it's in a bonus chapter they added to the end of the game in a remake. So technically it's end-game content, like it's not even part of the original game, but they give the villain an entire fucking arc and narrative that's in the post-game. It's very, very cool. And I haven't spoiled it because all I've spoiled is that it's a Dragon Quest game and it's a remake of a Dragon Quest game. And guess what? They've all had remakes.
Everyone, not everyone, but I think a lot of Western RPG fans kind of look down their nose at Dragon's Quest, and I think that's a big mistake.
Oh, no, Dragon Quest is one of the greatest game series of all time.
I would agree.
But this particular game, it's very interesting how they do it. Because, like, the game is over, okay? This is not a third act twist. The game is literally over. The game was over. But they made more game after the game. So it's an especially effective surprise at the end.
Off the top of my head, I think they could have had instead of introducing Shinsuke and having him die just as quickly as he's introduced, I'm thinking they could have had something where, like, Anna is trying to do something and Yukino is trying to convince her to be good, but Anna is running off, being foolish, and eventually gets herself killed, and we have the dramatic death scene with Anna instead of Shunsuke, and Yukino is filled with determination or despair because of that.
There you go. Yep,
I was about to say that would have worked because we know Anna. We've literally seen her the whole game.
Yep, and also that would not have required any modifications to the game's like mechanical scenario, so it would have been fine.
Yeah, but I don't know. Making stories to fit in games is really hard.
Yeah. Every art form has formal requirements, either due to the literal physical material nature of the medium or like other material conditions such as like business requirements, like, a game needs to appeal to certain audiences in order to sell, blah, blah, blah. Every medium has that. Musicals need to be within certain lengths. Movies do too, frankly. What rating you're going for. But then there's also considerations that are not directly like material, but are like cultural, like basically fitting into genres, right? Like, yeah, you're fitting these tropes because it's a genre thing. You're making a fantasy, you're making a horror, you're making a comedy or whatever. But I think that games have the most of this of any art form, which makes sense because they have interactivity, which other art forms don't have. They have to be programmed with computers, so because of that, I think they have the highest degree of like internal contradictions, forces that go against each other, different interests of artistic consideration that are just pushing up against each other, which is simultaneously the best thing about video games. It's the most fascinating thing, makes this a rich art form, and also very difficult. That's why no one's ever made a good video game. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, there's always going to be a conflict if you're trying to tell a game that make a game that tells a story. You're going to have a conflict between storytelling and game design because those are two different goals that have different toolboxes, and trying to get those to work together in a way that complements rather than contrasts is hard. It takes skill.
Yeah, and takes a lot of skill. So even the game designers of Atlas, who I consider to be very skillful games, and most of this game shows a high degree of sophistication, can't always pull it off. You know what I mean? Especially like a big game like this. I'm sure there's a relatively large team writing this game, and whoever was in charge of this particular part just couldn't get it to work. You know what I mean? And then of course, got to also think about like pipelines and schedules and deadlines. And
I was thinking the same thing. I almost wondered if this is one of those like wrinkles in the game where it just didn't get ironed out because they didn't have enough time.
Yep, sitting it on it. Yeah, there could be a million reasons.
Maybe Shinsuke was in the game, but then had to be cut for some reason.
Yeah.
But then his big death scene was already there and fully done.
It's like the requirement. It's like something happens at some point in the game that has to happen, but then because of other things that had to get cut or changed, that thing no longer works the way it was supposed to. But it's still there, but it didn't work the way it was supposed to. You see that a lot in video games.
I like our Shinsuke-less rewrite just because it's gayer.
Yes.
But I have motives for that.
I honestly, when Yukino expressed for the first time that she has a boyfriend, I was surprised, one, because she'd never mentioned him, but two, just my brain had categorized her as gay. And
hey, I'm a gay girl and I like boys, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. My brain had categorized her as 100% gay, and I'm like, no, obviously she wouldn't be, considering the type of game this is, the era of game this is, and everything. But my brain had just categorized her that way.
No, 100%. Same. I mean, we've all got a radar, folks. But that's why it was surprised. That's why I never considered an actual reading of her as being gay from that scene, because, Gator was going off, but only in the I'm reading that into it sense, not in the there's anything actually there sense.
Hey, listen, art, you can read it into that, and if you saw it there, then yes. It was there. But I was also just going to say, listen, as far as we know, she's just completely out of the story from now on, and unless something happens otherwise, we can just say she and Anna are having an exploratory adventure fighting Nazis, and it's the queerest thing that could ever happen.
No, that's totally true. But I do, yes, we can read whatever we want into art, but look, what I'm saying is, if I'm watching a movie and I'm like, that character is a lesbian just because she's got a square jaw and wears a suit, I don't think that quite meets the level of requirement of I'm reading my own meaning into this art based on literally anything that's in it. It's no, it's literally just my gay ass. That's not that's not me finding my own meaning in the art. That's me seeing a hot girl saying she's gay.
That's fair. That's fair.
The level we were working at here.
But there's also nothing wrong with that.
True, absolutely.
So I do think June is canonically gay. I do think they are intentionally setting up June having some sort of love interest in Totino's, and I don't know if that would be reciprocated in any way. But just based on the way they've been talking about it, I was sort of getting that vibe. And also, I went ahead and did some grinding. And if you, when you talk to the demons, you select two characters and it says what their relationship is. If you select June and Lisa, it says rivals for Totino's is love ?
Interesting.
That's awesome.
Speaking of the complexity of video games as a formal construction, flavor text. You don't get that in other art forms. Okay, I guess books can if you're a postmodern House of Leaves thing where there's appendices or whatever. But you know what I mean. But it's oh, you got the main story, but then I'm just navigating a menu because I want to make the guys hit. I want to make these two characters, talk to the monster, and then the game's oh, we can use flavor text to add a little bit of flavor to your narrative and suggest what may or may not be going on. That's cool.
Listen, why do they got to fight over him? Totino's has two hands.
That's right. That's right. I am always saying this.
Seriously, end love triangles, just polyamory, polycules everywhere.
I mean, okay. I'm not hating on poly stuff at all, but I will say that when we're telling a narrative, you want to make sure that it is concise and easy to follow. Love triangles, easy to follow. Now, you could say it's easily resolved with poly stuff, but you and I both know poly stuff does not resolve love triangles. In fact, it creates bigger, greater, infinitely more complex love triangles.
I'm not saying I disagree with that. However, I would say that at this point, love triangle storylines are very played out
They
and
are
boring, and it's hard to find any meat there that hasn't been thoroughly chewed. Where polyamory storylines have so much meat that no one has even touched with even the barest hint of their teeth.
Yep. And also, not only can having more sides than a triangle be good, having fewer can be too. Have people forgotten that simply two people liking each other can be? I mean, hell, have you looked at real life? Like,
oh yeah, agreed.
Even when you don't have to add this antagonistic element to it, it's like two people who like each other with no other complications. If you're a good enough writer, can be an endlessly rich narrative.
I've been saying for years. I really like a lot of romance stories, but my biggest issue is I don't enjoy it when romance stories end with the two characters getting together. Because that's not the most interesting part of romance.
Well, what about all of that happens after that?
Yeah, exactly. Maintaining and seeing where relationships go is interesting, and it is worth having media about. And it's so rare to get it.
It's a whole unexplored area. I know that in the year of our Lord 2022, we tend to find this rather passé, and we kind of make fun of this television show, even though we all loved it back when it aired. But nowadays, it's like, it's like a normie thing to make fun of. The Office did a great job of this. It did. They did the whole will they or won't they thing for many, many seasons with the two, love interests, Jim and Pam. They even did love triangle shit. And then they actually got together, and they made like 5 more seasons of show. And guess what? Those characters continued being interesting, and their relationship continued to have stuff compelling depth to it after they got together. And as much as our modern sensibilities find our cultural obsession with The Office a decade ago to be a little cringe, I'm always going to give them credit for that. I'm always going to give them credit for doing what many shows are too afraid to do, which is actually get your characters together.
It was done effectively, and we did all love the show. But when someone on Tinder lists their interests as The Office and sarcasm,
you still roll your eyes.
It's like, what the fuck? Have you not moved on?
Yeah, it's like, bruh, yeah, we were all there, but like,
we have The Good Place now. We have better TV.
Yeah, The
Good Place is old.
The Office and sarcasm, bruh. Now we have Better Call Saul and sincerity.
Exactly.
Which is way better than sarcasm.
I'm going to tentatively raise my hand here and say, I actually don't love The Office, and I never have.
Fine. That's
good.
Fine.
You're ahead of the curve.
Here's the thing. My big issue, I have that thing where my empathy is too high to where if there's something embarrassing happening on screen,
it's like
I get embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I can't watch it. And The Office, I literally just can't watch.
Yeah, the early seasons of the show traffic in a very specific kind of emotional territory that for some people is just, you're just like, I cannot deal with this. It's almost like how a horror movie can be too scary, but instead it's just like the awkwardness is too cringe.
Yep, agreed. That's what it is for me. It's just, I just can't watch that. Sorry.
Totally reasonable. But again, it's 2022, so there's no reason to go back and watch it. Office is, again, like, God, I'm going to lose all my cool person cred that I totally have by saying that it probably is actually a great work of art. But regardless of whether it is or not, if it's a great work of art, it is at the most a great work of art of its very specific time.
Well, all great works of art are still art and therefore subjective. And just because it is widely recognized to be great does not mean you as an individual human being are going to enjoy it and want to actually experience it. There are things that I can say, yes, I will recognize that is something that everyone would agree is great. Just not for me. That's just not my thing. I'm just not interested.
Oh no, I have no problem doing that. I'm the other way around. It's liking things that are bad that gets you in trouble nowadays with modern irony culture.
Yeah, and screw that. Listen?
I know.
People can tell me until they're blue in the face that the Super Mario Bros. Movie is bad, and I'm still going to enjoy watching it.
No, that movie
rules.
That movie's actually good, though. That's the difference here. If everyone hated The Office, but I thought it was legitimately good, I would stand it. But I'm like, no, maybe it actually does just kind of suck, but I like it anyway. Oh, God.
We're allowed to enjoy tasty trash, though. We should be able to enjoy our media junk food.
I don't know. I have complex feelings on that. I'm against the term guilty pleasure because I think people say guilty pleasure, but what they're afraid to say is that I actually think this is good, and here's my argument for why.
I would agree. I think I have an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, I think it's part of irony culture. I think it's a way of protecting people. People say, "Oh, I know it's bad, but it's my guilty pleasure," and I'm like, no. Believe in yourself. You like this thing. Tell me why you like it.
I would say corollary to that, and it can overlap with that. The other thing, and I would say this sometimes with stuff that I find guilty pleasures, are things that I wouldn't say are bad, but they have aspects to them that for me do not weigh badly enough on them that I would be I'm still like, I really love this and I think it's good. But if someone's like, that thing is trash, and they're pointing to that, I'm like, yeah, no, you make a very good point. That is, that is genuinely an awful thing. And like, I understand why that ruins it for you. And why I would say guilty pleasure, it's like, yeah, no, there is that scene and I know it's really bad. And yeah, no,
In conclusion, Dune 2021 is the greatest film of all time. The end.
I'll take your word on it. Could not have less interest.
When was the last time we said something relevant to Persona 2 Innocent Sin?
Who gives a fuck, okay?
There's honestly not that much to talk about, because the thing is...
We're still at the normal length of an episode, frankly.
Yeah.
And also not a lot happened in this game. I don't have any memos because guess what? There wasn't any optional content this time around.
Yeah,
basically.
no, we had...
There was plenty of people you could have talked to.
Okay, there was, but not a shit ton, though. And I didn't find anything very interesting, so...
Yeah, no, it's like, what happened this time? Let's see. Bad things happened to Yukino, which we talked about extensively. There was about a bunch of nonsense plot gibberish that feels like I turned on the History Channel and left it on too long. And then June joined our party, I guess.
Well, we also have June's father showing up and saying, I'm the bad guy now.
You're right.
That's right.
Which I'd kind of figured out that was probably going to be the case earlier when it's like, oh, yes, there were 3 people who wrote this book. And it's like, okay, we have Miss Ideal, we have dude who is setting up the bomb, and I guess this is the third guy.
The third guy was, I forget his name, but the teacher at Sevens who I forget his name.
Maybe it wasn't him then, but I don't know. June's dad is bad. I'm not surprised. Okay.
You're telling me JRPG's got a bad dad?
I'm surprised.
Anyway, do we have anything else to say about Persona 2 Innocent Sin?
I really hope next week is a step up.
Yeah, I'm hoping it pulls it back up. I got a feeling it probably will, but because there's still a lot of really cool stuff going on in this narrative. But yeah, last time we talked so much about the actual themes of the story and how it deals with dreams and collectively constructed social realities. And this week we mostly were talking about game design and art because we didn't have anything to talk about those actual fucking games. So.
Actually, I will say I have one compliment. I do enjoy the idea that they, Joker flat out told Hitler hey, by the way, you don't even, you're a fucking figment created by rumors. And Hitler is apparently aware of that and doesn't care.
You don't even go here, they said to Hitler. Also, look, we're probably used to it at this point, but this game's graphics are still fantastic.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
That's the most important thing about a video game. It's just that at this point we've stopped finding that interesting to talk about.
Also, the music continues to be amazing.
The music is so good.
Are there any new tracks this week?
Oh yeah,
there
were tracks for the animated cutscenes. Also, I'm pretty sure every dungeon has unique music because every store has unique music. I'm pretty sure.
True. I find a lot of the dungeon music It's all very good, but it is also a little samey. So I wouldn't necessarily notice, like, is this a new bop or a bop I've already heard? But I do think you're correct, actually.
I would also say this dungeon was a bit frustrating for me, but it wasn't awful.
Mm-hmm. Not as frustrating as the dungeon that I don't think I actually talked about this, how much it annoyed me, but there was a dungeon, I think, last week where there were holes you could fall down. Like you're walking along and then the floor
awful.
Collapses.
I hated it.
And then the hole does not remain there when you go back up.
Classic Dragon Quest bit.
It was annoying.
Only in the older Dragon Quest games that are a bit more hardcore, they got rid of them because they're annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I think that's it.
So I do not have Sam's script that he reads, and I'm not used to doing the outro.
Ah, shit.
Let
me give it a try. Or no, what are you gonna say?
I was just going to say, can I bring up the list of members on?
You work on that. Well, okay. So here's the thing. If you like this podcast, you should give us money. All right. And also give us reviews and tell your friends about it. On RPGbook.club. Got it. On RPGbook.club, you can give us money. You can give us money at different tiers. And if you give us money at one particular tier, we say your name at the end of the episode and say, thanks for supporting us. If you give us money at a higher tier, then you actually get to share a message from you to everybody. We have one of those, and it's about how everyone should brush their teeth because teeth are very important. So that's where we're at. Wait, hold on. I might as well just finish. And finally, we have bonus content such as shortcast and longcast, and also book club no kiseki, aka more hot content. And also, as someone who's currently involved in making some of the hot content, aka the FF13 trilogy longcast, I gotta say it's really good. I think it's some of the best content we've fucking made. And I'm not just saying that because I'm currently in charge of it, because I didn't do the first two games, and that shit was also great. Give us any amount of money and you get that stuff. You can also commission us to do specific games. You can just tell us, hey, please do this game, and we will have to do it, which is great. We love being told what to do. Anyway, Bernard, what's going on?
So I cannot bring up the list of members, so I'm going to get that from another episode and drop that in. Hi, this is Bernard from the future. You can tell that it's Bernard from the future because of the lower audio quality, because I'm not at my recording setup. I am at my editing setup. I have different setups for those because I'm fancy. So I have just gotten the list of warriors, so I will read their names now. Thank you to Cerebral Wind, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, Jfro Prime, Eli Bergmas, Doho, and Tuxedo Ken. Thank you so much. All right, I will now hand it back to Past Bernard.
There you go.
But I will say that our one luminary is Carr, and his message for all of us is to brush your teeth twice a day, especially at night before you go to bed. And can I be real with y'all?
What?
Go ahead.
Depression is really hard, and one thing that depression makes hard for a lot of people is remembering to brush their teeth, and that's something that I've struggled with specifically. And Carr's message helps me remember, because we do this late at night.
Well, thank you, Carr, for the message. You're having a very tangible impact on Bernard's life.
It's very good.
I didn't know that, because depression and other things hurts other things for me, but I've never had a problem brushing my teeth.
Oh, yeah, no, depression really fucks up my routine.
That specific one is the one I don't have issues with. Everything else I fucking do. But that sucks, though. It really sucks to hear that. I'm sucks to hear that.
So, yes, sorry we didn't plan this better.
Anyway, join us next week where we play more of the game. Do you know how much more we're playing?
We might be finishing it next week.
I think join us next week when we play the rest of the game, and then we go on to some other random ass game. You might be wondering, well, how come we aren't voting on the next game yet? That's because if you recall.
It's a duology!
The bit this time around is that we're playing 2 games in a row. 2 games for the price of 1. So you're not going to get to put on the next game. We're just going to snowball right into Persona 2 Part 2, which is really cool.
I don't know if we're going to be able to finish it. There's about 4 hours left of the long play. I don't know how much of that is just walking around talking to people because of the long play. I love this. Thank you so much for doing this, long play person. Includes all NPC dialogue in the game.
Ooh, that's good.
Yes, it's so good. Yeah, it's so good, especially if, like, you know, I see a line, I instinctively hit X and then think, fuck, I wanted a screenshot of that. You just pull up the long play. It's so good. Hey, everyone, like, make long plays. NPC dialogue is really important in RPGs. Okay, some RPGs it's not any good and it sucks, but, like, if it's a good game, that NPC dialogue is probably very important. And I don't mean to the plot, I mean, like, artistically important. Like, it probably has a lot of character and emotions and thematic stuff. So please include it.
So, join us next week when we might finish the game. We'll find out. For RPG Book Club, I have not been Sam Allman.
I have still, unfortunately, been Maddie Grace Alexandra Webben.
And I am happy to be Trish.
Hell yeah, I love that for you. Goodbye, everybody.
Toodaloo, I believe they say.
Goodbye.